Have you ever had the feeling that something in your life needs to change, but you're not sure where to begin? You try to do better. You promise yourself, this time things will be different. Maybe you've even celebrated a new year and hoped it would bring a fresh start. But after a while, life just seems to settle back into the same patterns again. If you've ever felt that tension, you're not alone. And in Scripture, God actually shows us something important about that moment. Because when God rescues people, He doesn't begin with resolutions. He begins with a reset. In the book of Exodus, God was preparing to deliver His people from slavery in Egypt. They had been living under oppression for generations. Their lives had been shaped by a system they didn't create and couldn't easily escape. But before the rescue even happened, God said something remarkable. In Exodus chapter 12, He told His people, "This month shall be the beginning of months for you." In other words, we're starting over. Yahweh reset their calendar, not because time itself had changed, but because their lives were about to change. When God rescues people, He often begins by resetting the rhythm of their lives, and that pattern still speaks today, because many people sense that something in their faith isn't quite aligned. Maybe Egypt for you looks like traditions you've inherited but never really examined. Maybe it looks like spiritual habits that leave you feeling stuck or stagnant. Or maybe it's simply the feeling that you've been going through the motions, but something deeper is calling you forward. Egypt doesn't look the same for everyone. But the moment God begins leading someone out of Egypt always starts the same way. It starts with a reset, not just of ideas, but of direction. Over the next few weeks, we're going to walk through the pattern God gave His people when He led them out of Egypt. There was preparation, Passover, removal of leaven, and there was the beginning of a new life. There weren't random events on a calendar. They were steps on a journey from slavery to freedom. And that journey began when God reset time and invited His people to begin walking with Him in a new way. Maybe you're standing at a moment like that right now. A moment where your conscience has started asking questions. A moment where you sense that God might be inviting you to leave something behind and follow Him more fully. If that's where you are, take a moment this week to sit with a simple question. Where might God be inviting me to begin again? Sometimes the first step out of Egypt is simply recognizing that a new journey is possible. And when God leads people out of Egypt, He always begins with a reset. Where in your life might God be inviting you to begin again? If you've ever experienced that moment where something in your faith begins asking deeper questions, you're not alone. That journey of searching for truth is what led me to write No Place to Hide. If you'd like to explore that more deeply, you can find the link below.